Hello, my Minnow friends. It's me, Menopause Barbie, your menopause tailor. We're moving right along in this menopause education. I think it's something akin to Menopause University, don't you? In every video, I shock you with facts about this or that. And today, I'm gonna shock you with some mantras. A mantra is a phrase that you hear repeated over and over again. Sometimes it's true, sometimes it isn't. The problem with mantras is that once they're mantras, people tend to stick to them whether they're true or not. And I'm talking about mantras today because there are a variety of mantras in the world of menopause. Some true, some untrue. But how are you to know the difference? I consider it my job to equip you with all the tools to successfully manage your menopause with whichever kind of professional that suits you. But different professionals have heard different mantras. And some of them practice by those mantras, whether they're true or not. So I'm going to discuss some of these mantras and make sure you know whether each one is a myth or a matter of fact. You should definitely watch this video because I promise you there's a mantra or two lurking behind what your menopause professional says or does. And a mantra stated with conviction, no matter how mythical, can defy all logic. So I'll present the mantras one at a time, and I'll give you a chance to guess as to whether it's a myth or a matter of fact. And then I'll reveal which it is and explain. Okay, mantra number one. Estrogen dominance is a hormonal imbalance that causes all sorts of problems. What do you think? Is it a myth or a matter of fact? If you've been watching my videos in order, this one should be easy. Videos 74, 75, and 76 were all about estrogen dominance. You should know that this myth, or any ramification of it, is a myth. Do you remember the TV game show called The Newlywed Game? You had to be really old to remember it. They used plaques like this to reveal their answers. And I liked that show, so I decided to use these plaques to reveal the answers for these myths or matters of fact. The fact is that estrogen dominance is something you have in the first half of every menstrual cycle you ever have. It's the first half of every month. And it's what you have during perimenopause. Here. So every woman on Earth has episodes of estrogen dominance. And estrogen dominance constitutes about half of your reproductive life. If estrogen dominance were abnormal or dangerous, every woman would have all the problems that are falsely attributed to it. So, it's a myth. Okay, here's mantra number two. Estrogen causes cancer. Is that a myth or a matter of fact? Please tell me that you've watched video 102. If you have, you definitely know the answer to this one. If you've watched that video, you know that the correct answer is, it depends on the kind of cancer. You know, the word cancer is kind of like the word car. How many different types of cars are there? Other than the fact that they all provide a means of transportation, how similar are they? I mean, gosh, they differ in just about every aspect. Size, color, luxury, horsepower, number of seats, price, you name it. So, it is a matter of fact that estrogen causes uterine cancer. Estrogen thickens the lining of your uterus, which can lead to uterine cancer unless it sheds. But estrogen does not cause breast cancer. In fact, what causes breast cancer is the cyclic activity of estrogen with progesterone, which is what you have every single month of your life. Cycles. The more cycles you've had in your lifetime, the greater your risk for breast cancer. That's a matter of fact. Okay, mantra number 3. It's better and safer to use progesterone instead of estrogen for post-menopause. What do you say? Is it a myth or a matter of fact? Once again, I've covered this in a variety of videos. Do you see why you should watch them in order? Let's review. Remember the 3 bears? Testosterone is Papa Bear's hormone. Estrogen is Mama Bear's hormone. And progesterone is Baby Bear's hormone. Does it make any sense at all to think that you, Mama Bear, can meet all of your needs with a hormone that is only for supporting Baby Bear during your pregnancy with Baby Bear? Well, of course not. Estrogen has about 100 functions in your body. Progesterone had 1, and that 1 function wasn't even for you. It was for Baby Bear. So, it is an absolute myth and a very costly one to think that you can use progesterone instead of estrogen for anything. Isn't this fun? All right, mantra number 4 is bioidentical hormones are better. Is that a myth or is it a matter of fact? Let's see. I taught you about this in videos 23, 32, 37, 40, 44, 84, and 94. Now this particular mantra is one that is uttered or declared by lay persons much more than it is by professionals. And the fact is that most of the people who say this can't even really define what they mean by the term bioidentical. It's one of those latest and greatest types of claims that makes you think it's the thing to use. Now, I don't like the words better or worse, right or wrong, good or bad in terms of judging options on menopause. The fact is that nothing is good, better, or right for every woman. And even if something is advantageous in some ways, there are always disadvantages also. So this mantra is theoretical, not actuals. In one of the very earliest videos, I taught you that sometimes your brain and your body don't agree. Something that sounds like a great idea may or may not actually work for you. So theoretically, bioidentical hormones are hormones that are identical to those in your body, and theoretically that makes them sound like they should work better and produce fewer side effects. But in reality, they don't always work that way. Another misconception about bioidentical hormones is that they can only come from a compounding pharmacy. That is not true. Most of the pharmaceutical HRT products are also bioidentical, including all of these. So, we come back to whether it's a myth or a matter of fact. And all of this means that the mantra about bioidentical hormones being better is a myth. Whatever works better for you is better for you. That's the way it works. Okay, now for mantra number 5. Estrogen vaginal creams that confine themselves to just your vagina are better and safer than estrogens that circulate throughout your body. Is that a myth? or is it a matter of fact? Shockingly, this mantra is held both by laypersons and some professionals. And again, it depends on your goals. It is true that estrogen vaginal creams go in your vagina and stay in your vagina. They do not distribute estrogen anywhere else. They are specifically and solely for the purpose of alleviating your vaginal symptoms of menopause. If that's your goal, then great. But because estrogen vaginal creams do not circulate throughout your body, they cannot benefit you in any other way. They cannot alleviate any of your other symptoms of menopause, and they cannot prevent any of the diseases associated with menopause, like heart attack, osteoporosis, or Alzheimer's disease. So, if vaginal dryness is your only symptom and you have no desire to reduce your risks for these diseases, then estrogen vaginal cream may be the best thing for you. Or if you can't take any form of estrogen that circulates throughout your body, then estrogen vaginal cream may be the right thing for you. But to say outright that estrogen vaginal creams are better or safer is just a myth, a complete myth. Are you starting to see why mantras are problematic? They're too general, and people take them too literally and apply them too broadly. Okay, now for mantra number 6. The only purpose of HRT is for alleviating your symptoms of menopause. Is that a myth, or is it a matter of fact? Do you remember videos 98, 99, and 100? They were all about the primary versus the secondary purposes of HRT. The primary purpose for HRT is for alleviating your symptoms of menopause. The secondary purpose of HRT is for preventing diseases associated with menopause. You get the secondary benefits as a perk of using HRT for its primary purpose. So this one is a myth. There isn't only one purpose for using HRT. There's a primary purpose and a secondary purpose. Now for mantra number 7. HRT should be used in the lowest dosage for the shortest period of time. Take a guess. Is that a myth, or is it a matter of fact? This is one you'll hear a lot from professionals. You'll hear it mostly from the professionals who help you manage your menopause, but have the least expertise in doing so. It's sort of a comfort zone. It's like stopping short of making a full commitment. It enables them to give you enough estrogen to meet the primary purpose of alleviating some of your symptoms of menopause. But it may rob you of getting the secondary benefits of preventing heart attack, osteoporosis, and Alzheimer's disease. But you know, there's also sort of a ring to it. You like the way it sounds. Lowest dosage, shortest time. It makes you feel like you're just doing the bare minimum, and that makes you feel like you're doing no harm. It sort of appeals to your fear about hormones. But it's analogous to being a little pregnant. You can't be just a little pregnant. You're either pregnant or you're not. You can't have it both ways. So taking the lowest dosage for the shortest time may be catchy, but it completely misses the boat if you want any of the long-term benefits of HRT. Do you remember what I taught you about guidelines in videos 91 and 128? Some of the guidelines use this mantra. That makes it even worse if you don't agree with it. Guidelines are not laws or rules. They're just guidelines. The problem is that non-experts in menopause don't know how to adjust them for the individual patient. That would be you. So this mantra should be, take the appropriate dosage for the appropriate period of time. Doesn't that make more sense? This means tailoring the treatment to the individual patient, and that's what menopause management is all about. So this mantra of the lowest dosage for the shortest period of time is a myth. Okay, mantra number 8. You have to stop taking HRT after 5 to 10 years. Is that a myth or a matter of fact? Let's see, that was in videos 87, 88, and 89. This is all about the estrogen window of opportunity. It's the first 5 to 10 years of your postmenopause when taking estrogen can prevent the diseases associated with menopause, including heart attack, osteoporosis, and Alzheimer's disease. As I taught you in those videos, the 5 to 10 years refers to the time when you have to start taking estrogen. It's the green light for go. It has nothing to do with how long you can take estrogen. It is not a time limit for taking estrogen. It's not the red light. It's a time limit for starting estrogen. There's a huge difference in the two. You can start taking estrogen 4 years after you're postmenopausal, and then you can take it for the rest of your life. But a misinterpretation of the 5 to 10 years would make you think you could only take it for a total of 5 to 10 years. That's not so. So this mantra is a myth. This is another mantra that you'll hear from professionals who are not menopause experts. They'll even refuse to prescribe estrogen beyond 5 to 10 years to make themselves feel better. And like most things associated with ignorance, they'll swear that they know what they're talking about. And they'll probably try to scare you with one of the other mantras that is untrue. So having this education and knowing the facts will empower you, but it may also frustrate you. When you realize how cheated women are in getting what they need and deserve for menopause, it will really upset you. Now, before I blow a gasket, let's move on to mantra number 9. You can take calcium instead of estrogen to prevent osteoporosis. Is it a myth or is it a matter of fact? How many times have we discussed this? I sound like your mother, don't I? Do you remember the quality versus quantity comparison? Osteoporosis is a lower quantity of bone. This is normal bone. This is bone with osteoporosis. Quantity. There is more bone here than there is here. It's bone loss that's due to estrogen loss. Calcium has nothing to do with bone quantity. Calcium affects bone quality. So, here's strong, hard bone. If I wet the bone, I still have the same quantity of bone, but it's a lot weaker. So this is high quantity, but this is high quality here and low quality here. Here you have bone with osteoporosis. Here you have less bone, but it's strong. If I wet it, here I have less bone, but it's also weak bone. So you can take all the calcium in the world and still lose bone. So this one is absolutely a myth. And the key to this one is to realize that estrogen is what gives you quantity. Calcium is what gives you quality. Okay? Do not settle for taking calcium in order to prevent osteoporosis. It won't work. You know, it would be like putting your dishes in your toilet in order to clean them. The toilet will not clean them like your dishwasher will it? It'll swish the water around and maybe even rinse them off a bit, but they will not be clean. They'll be contaminated with all sorts of bacteria that'll make you sick. I know it's a crazy analogy, but it's apropos. Okay, finally, mantra number 10. You can't take HRT if someone else in your family had a disease that is riskier with hormones. Do you think that's a myth? Or do you think it's a matter of fact? I hear this one all the time from women who hear it from their doctors. Does it make any sense to you? Think about it. You can't take something because someone else had a disease. Does that sound like a sound practice? How do you connect the dots on that one? Here's the family tree. Ooh, it's heavy. If your mother, here's you, if your mother had a stroke, should you be denied HRT? What if your mother is an obese diabetic smoker, but you're a thin vegan health nut? Do you think that matters? If your sister had breast cancer, but she has all of the risk factors for breast cancer and you have none, should you be denied HRT? Do you think this family history trumps all else? Do you think that your family members or their behaviors or their disease risks matter more than your own behaviors and disease risks? If the disease is one for which there is a genetic mutation and you actually have the mutation, that's a whole different story. But just because someone else in the family had a disease that's associated with a higher risk for HRT does not mean that you can't take HRT. So despite the fact that this mantra is very common, it is not a matter of fact. It is a myth. You have to do what is most comfortable and reasonable for you. You are unique. So many mantras, so few facts. Did you notice how we only used the myths and it depends? We didn't use any of these matter-of-fact plaques. So how many mantras were myths and how many were facts? You saw. Well, as you've learned, things are not that black and white. There are many shades of gray, and this education helps you to see those shades of gray. So I hope you found this useful, and if you haven't watched the videos to which I referred in assessing the myth versus matter-of-fact status, be sure to go back and watch them. The very best thing is to watch them all in order, and that is a fact. That way, you'll understand all the reasons for everything, and when you understand the reasons for things, you don't forget them. It's all about the logic behind them. And I hope you can see that I work very hard on giving you facts and connecting the dots and trying to make everything as logical for you as possible. And I do so in a way where you can just take that information and then use it in your own way. And with that, I will bid you goodbye. Come back in a week. I'll have more juicy morsels of information for you then. In the meantime, follow me. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and subscribe to my channel. I love having you here, and I love making these videos for you. Bye.